that kind of agility, that kind of size. And I've seen the pictures of him, and he looks in terrific shape. Probably the best that I could have ever seen him. And it's kind of weird saying that he's at the oldest point he's ever been, but. Credit to the guy for losing that much weight, and he just looks like he's made of pure muscle now, which is a real shocker. And if you was to probably compare him to someone like Braun Strowman, equally kind of impressive as each other now. So I really do hope that they use him in the best possible way when he does make his return, because all too obviously lately, it just felt like they build him up, they give him about a month of good results, only to put some younger talent across. But make the most of him while you got him. He should be on the attraction level of someone like a Brock, because you can use him in that sense. You don't have to bring him out and use him week in, week out. You can just use him on one-off matches as a big draw. Yeah,
that's definitely how it should be used. Okay. Leah now has a quick question. Charlotte Ronda Mania 33. Your thoughts? For me, as much as I want to see that match, Matt, I think that's just too soon. I don't know what you think about that, but I think it would be better if you planned it a year later. And perhaps if Ronda was going to be involved in this year's WrestleMania, it would be something. Maybe she's not fighting. Maybe she's like a special enforcer, like Tyson was, or something like that. And then you play into next year, similar to what she was doing the time before, but it never sort of prevailed. I think the setup for that would be miles better. I just think it's too soon. What do you think, Matt, on the whole Ronda Rousey? I mean, obviously, look, I would take it if that was the match they put. I would take it, obviously, but. Do you think that they would hold out and possibly hold out a bit longer?
Yeah, I mean, if they did it, it would feel a little bit forced, a little bit rushed. And to be honest, I couldn't really see Ronda Rousey stepping into the WWE this soon after a loss. Even though it is still months away, I think she would need a longer break out of the sort of spotlight. It wouldn't do her any harm to come into it next year, but then equally, like right now, Charlotte is on a real roll. She's got 14, 15 pay-per-views now undefeated. And whether she's the champion or not come around to next Mania, if they keep this impressive pay-per-view going streak, then she'll be up to ridiculous numbers, won't she? Almost up to 30. So it would be great to see them come off under those circumstances, as she can go, well, I've got 27 pay-per-views straight that I haven't lost. It wouldn't matter whether she was a champ. You could have two great women's matches that night. Then you could have a championship women's match, and you could have Charlotte and Ronda. But we'll be living in dreamland, because this is something that we hope, but whether we'll actually see Rousey in the WWE ring is a completely different thing, I guess. Yeah,
I'm with you there. I definitely think there's a market for it for sure. Be a massive attraction. I mean, there's so many cool things you could do between Charlotte and Ronda as well. Like considering Ronda goes around with her 4 horsewomen as well. When she goes around with her trainer, and Charlotte could have something like that set up, and of course she could use Rick and whole stuff with Roddy Piper, and there's so many good avenues to go down. A good direction between those two, and then could it be Ronda trying to end somebody else's streak, how hers was ended and that kind of thing. So there's definitely room for it, but I just feel this year's WrestleMania is just a little bit too soon. But if she was involved in another way, that would still be tremendously big for WrestleMania and WWE. Okay, he said he'd be back, Matt. He said he was going to hold out till 2017. He's kept to his word. Guess who's back? Jimbo, Wrestler Squad number 9. Emailed me only yesterday. Happy New Year to you both. 2017, and I feel refreshed, replenished, and better for it after staying away from WWE. World of Sport was a little wacky, but not terrible. Who, in your opinion, is the top 3 greatest UK wrestlers in your view? I know Dynamite Kid always gets praised, on your podcast, who would the other two be? Who would the others be? So yeah, we always do say good things. Man, to really thoroughly sit and think about this, I can't give you a tremendously. I would say I have so many, but Dynamite is definitely in the top 3 for me. Matt, is there anybody that straight away you think great UK talent has to be mentioned?
Well, how could I sit here and not say it? But he's sometimes often underrated, but William Regal has been there. He's done that. Mm-hmm. He's been all over the place, and he's always been of a high level. Mm-hmm. And no matter what gimmick was given to him, he was excellent with it. And he's got that real classic British old school style. Yeah. And every time he took it to each company, they would always compliment him on it. And the pure ability he has to teach younger people as well and get them into it. The guy, he's a great talent on so many levels.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, probably got to the most popularity. Like I would say, he's somebody that even non-wrestling fans know the British Bulldog was. The whole dreadlocks and the whole attire he used to wear was, it was very much UK, Mr. UK, wasn't he, back then, Matt? And certainly, always had that Union Jack on his shoulder. Of course, Wembley Stadium against Bret Hart. Can't take that away from me. If you want to go back further than that, I would say I've always been a fan of Mick McManus's work. Tremendous villain for his time. Really good on the mic and was always, of course, credited as the guy you love to hate. For sure. Of course, there were other names, of course, that was in. I'm trying to think of his name in WCCW, which was, of course, in Texas. I'm trying to think of his name. I'm going to quickly type that in on YouTube. Matt, is there anyone else that flickers out at you that would be in your top 3 of British wrestlers of all time?
Well, so far we just spoke about people purely on the accolades that they've had. But if I was going to actually mention one that actually has it all right now, I would go with Neville because, man, I'm hard-pressed to find anyone in the world, let alone Britain, that could do the things that guy can do. Yeah. And if he was really unleashed on the WWE and allowed to do the things that he is capable of, they would have like a top quality superstar. He should be superstar level that Rey Mysterio was if they really put their effort into letting him do what he can do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. The guy I was trying to think of in World Class Championship Wrestling, of course, we actually do cover in our Wrestling Arts series, is Chris Adams. He was a tremendous wrestler, great wrestler, and we do cover him in our series. He's involved in a 3-on-3 match against the Von Erichs, and he's there. But yeah, he was a really, really good wrestler. Unfortunately, he died way before. I think he was only at the age of 46. So yeah, he died very young. But he was a tremendous wrestler. If he'd have made it to WWE, you'd have definitely heard about him more as well. So there's probably guys I've missed out. So I again, it's one of those things you'd have to really think about. But the top of my head, those are what spring to mind. So thank you very much, Jimbo, for your question as always, and good to have you back. Happy New Year to you as well. Okay, now we've got another question. This is another interesting name, Matt's Wonder. Hope that's not you, Matt. On this podcast, emailing in me now. Loved the King of the Ring series. When will 20 back start? So, yeah, I did answer that a little bit earlier, and that will be coming on the 28th of January. We're going to put that out, and you'll be able to listen to that. Glad that everybody enjoyed the King of the Ring retrospective series. Of course, we've come to the end of that now. If you hadn't had a chance of listening to it, it is in our archives. You can go back on it. Just hit the subscribe button, and you'll find them all there. You can go back at any time and revisit those pay-per-views. But we had a blast doing those pay-per-views, all 10 in the end, and we're looking forward to doing the 20 back series. And again, it will be available on the 28th of January. Last question here then, let's pick out one. And it's another question on the podcast, but Stuart Gibson now emails, will you be covering WWE's UK title tournament on your podcast? I believe we will. I think we'll probably do something for it. I think, Matt, won't we? I think it's definitely worth having. It's a UK champion going to be crowned. Going to have something is on the network as well. So
yeah, we'll end up watching it and we'll be talking about it. So we might as well talk about it here, I guess.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it. Don't worry. I mean, literally, it's going to happen over like one weekend. So by the time our regular Monday show goes up, we're going to have like all the details. We'd have watched the bulk of it by then, all of it. So it's literally I believe only a 2-day tournament. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it, how it's presented, and it's cool that it's going to be on the network. So looking forward to that, and of course we will be covering it. That now brings us to the end of our podcast, Matt. It's been a good opener, I think, to 2017. Obviously, potentially a lot of good things could be happening. The one thing I didn't mention that I was going to mention was the whole fact, a few things that TNA apparently, Matt, have been bought how by Anthem Sport, but no official word on that yet, so I'm not going to hold my breath. We might have more on that next week with a bit of luck, I'm hoping, and we'll see how that goes. Also, a little bit of sad news on the British wrestling scene is that we learned that Brian Dixon's All-Star Wrestling has, for the first time in 40 years, partnership with Butlins, is no longer going to be performing there. Unfortunately, it's been such a long-going relationship. So, All-Star Wrestling very much up in the air about their future, and they've been one of the consistent wrestling promotions in this country that have run a circuit in this country for as long as they have. Like they've been around since World of Sport days. They're one of the few that have remained, and they've always had an incredible circuit of going around the entire country. But they had such a good relationship with Butlins. But it's all thrown up in the air. But hoping to have more on that those developments next week on the podcast. But sad news on that. Other than that, it's been a good to have you back on, Matt, for this year, and I guess we're hoping for tonight. Anything you would like to see tonight, Matt? You think that could happen that our listeners might be tuning into next for Raw tonight?
I'm just hoping that the last man standing match is as good as it could be. I don't want any of these shenanigans and anything like that, and let's just steer the focus away from Roman Reigns a little bit as well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, now because of Matt, a while ago, he said he mentioned about Braun Strowman, and you compared to his look as Sam from Game of Thrones. Now every time I look at him, that is exactly what I'm seeing. This is a guy with this is Sam, just with a beard, and that's what I see from this guy. So I do find it hard to take him as serious now, but ever since that, because you're absolutely spot on there, Matt, with that look. So hopefully, as Matt said, the match will go. I mean, I've got a feeling it's just going to add into a storyline even more. I've just got that feeling that there's going to be there won't be a payoff at the end of this. It's just going to go on a bit more. So possibly into the Rumble, and these two are going to collide in there as well. And maybe it's the whole thing that, I just got this feeling that they might have, Sami Zayn eliminated him, after all this. I just got that feeling. But we shall see. Thank you, Matt, as always, for coming on the show.
No, it's been great, yeah.
Yeah, and for everyone else listening, we'll be back next Monday, folks. Until then, have a great week.